Hello, everyone. This is Raghul Nandagopal. You might have noticed me in the BYOC panel, taking another opportunity to explain more about our experiences rolling out BYOC at Dun& Bradstreet. A little bit about myself. I live in New Jersey. I'm the engineering leader at Dun& Bradstreet for third-party risk and compliance applications. I have 20 plus years of experience architecting and building enterprise-grade applications. I'm sure you are all, lifelong learners, as so am I. I'm glad to meet you all in this forum to share my experience of engineering high-performance streaming systems. With that, let me move on to an important, topic, which is selection of a message broker for your enterprise. We've been looking at multiple options, which included the GCP PubSub, Confluent Kafka, Apache Kafka, and Redpanda. So we had, been considering different selection criteria and parameters. As you can see on the slide, we've been looking at the message size limit, which is more important to us because we get like larger payloads to process all the time. We had streaming throughput is so important to us in terms of how much we can get through within a given point in time. Performance and scalability and availability is a consideration for everyone for sure. And the most important of all is the cost, how much you are spending for your streaming solution compared to the rest of the infrastructure and whatnot. What you can see is in all of these important parameters, Redpanda Kafka came about, Redpanda came about on top of all these considerations. There were a few more considerations. We had like the hosting, and then the integration, security, and support. There are a couple of important points we want to talk about. One is hosting and security. We wanted to make sure that the data stays in our premise. So the only way we could do that is to have like a bring your own cloud solution. At the same time, we wanted to make sure that, it is fully managed by somebody. So we don't have to worry about infrastructure, but we are like, building applications and whatnot. With that in mind, Redpanda came about on top on that scenario as well, wherein we have the BYOC option, plus it's fully managed. And it gives the convenience of protecting your data as well as having someone manage the infrastructure for you. And just to gloss over an important point, which is the support, we've always had like great support from the team in terms of both right from the discovery phase to rollout phase, and the production and post-production support has been like phenomenal. Moving along, so why Redpanda? So we looked at some of the parameters that we considered on the previous slide. I'll just reiterate some of those important considerations. Fully managed at 4 nines availability, so we don't have to worry about the infrastructure. Cost efficient, of course, comparing all the other options, what we've been able to do with like tier 2 and tier 3 instances have been like phenomenal. We reduced our operational risk by a lot by having hosting the Redpanda solution in our VPC. Security first, of course, Redpanda is very secure, and anyway, the infrastructure is hosted within our perimeter. That's another big advantage for us. The most important factor that we wanted to kind of communicate here is the performance first aspect of it. What we found out is that we've been able to process like 1 billion messages a day with just a tier 3 cluster, which is not like humongous or something like that. So just to give a scale of performance that we've been able to achieve at Dun & Bradstreet. Moving along, the deployment architecture. So this is something that is very important to consider when people are considering BYOC. What you can see here is that the virtual private cloud that is represented here is within D&B's network, or any of your networks, basically. So, and we have to drop in an agent, and once the agent is dropped in, Redpanda is able to talk to the agent and then set up the infrastructure for us. There needs to be a certain set of permissions and IAM roles and security groups that you need to provision for Redpanda to operate. So once we, give them the base infrastructure, they've been able to set up the cluster for us and manage it. What you can see is the ingress and egress of traffic here. So we have one port through which Redpanda is administering the cluster, and nothing else is open to them. And it is also fully MTLS enabled and fully controlled. And the other side of the house, we have the applications, punching a hole through the VPC to connect to Redpanda. I'll be talking about in detail about the network architecture in a second, while I move on to some more considerations we want to talk about. So the challenges we faced, so when it comes to the considerations, hey, when you're doing BOC, what kind of challenges you faced, and how was your experience throughout this whole process? The first of which is security. So we had to have Redpanda confine their implementation to existing security controls of Dun& Bradstreet, and they had to work with the IAM permissions we gave them, as well as restrict their connectivity to a single port and a set of IP addresses using Private Service Connect. Truth be told, it took a couple of iterations. It took a little bit of time where people were able to kind of work together with us from Redpanda, and then roll this out in a way that it's compliant with our security practices, as well as operationally viable for them to manage and ensure the availability requirements that we gave them. Networking. So again, between the security groups and other firewall and other restrictions we had to work through some of those considerations, whitelisting and other aspects that we had to do to get the traffic in and out. And we did have some difficulties around setting up the Private Service Connect, because of course, when the cluster scales up and down, we had to make sure that the IPs are rotated in the Private Service Connect, so the connectivity is not lost in between or something like that. I'm sure you're all, most of you are all part of a big enterprise. I'm sure you're also aware of the challenge that you face when you roll out a new technology. There is always, competing solutions that is being proposed by alternative teams. We have PubSub, self-hosting Kafka, we have Confluent, so many other options keep coming up. In our experience in the last couple of years, what we found out is that we've always been able to convince people about using Redpanda than considering an alternative for their solution, and we've been largely successful, and we have rolled out Redpanda to multiple initiatives at this point. As I promised, coming back to the network architecture a little bit more. So as you can see, we have the VPC configuration listed out here. So when you are rolling this out, you will always have these considerations. Do I use the VPC? Do I spin up a separate VPC and whatnot? For separation of concerns, we spun up a separate VPC for Redpanda and isolated them from the rest of the infrastructure. So there is only one ingress, which is Redpanda communicating to the agent to be able to manage the cluster, and there is another ingress and egress, which is the projects talking to Redpanda for communication and whatnot. There are multiple options that we can consider around Cloud VPN, Private Service Connect, and VPC peering. We selected Private Service Connect because that was the one that gave the maximum protection by exposing a very specific set of IPs and ports for inter VPC communication, and it's been largely successful. Before I close, I wanted to kind of call out the spectacular support that Redpanda has been giving us. It's been phenomenal in terms of them showing up every single time when we wanted them and helping out. They even take care of scaling and all those things. So kind of our messaging infrastructure at this point is in autopilot. Thanks to the BYOC model, and we've not been this successful this year without the BYOC for sure. With that, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity that is given to me here. I've just been able to share our experience rolling out BYOC. I'm hopeful this is helpful for some of you guys who are thinking about BYOC. I am leaving my contact information behind. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to answer any of your follow-through questions. Thank you very much.